Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining. My name is Amir Ben-Assa, and I'm with Plataine. Today, I'm going to talk about how AI-based scheduling applications, together with some IoT tools, Internet of Things, can turn your factory into a smart factory. We'll discuss some composite manufacturing scenarios. What are the ways to connect to sensors and to track your data as it evolves? How to gain visibility over your manufacturing operations. And I'll make sure to leave some time at the end for some questions. So with that, I would like to describe a little bit Plataine and give you a little bit of background before I start with my presentation. We're a software company, and basically we're developing over the years a very special software that is an intelligent layer connecting to your current system, such as your ERP. And in addition, we can gather a lot of information from your factory floor sensors. So we take that information coming from your ERP, like the workers, and on the other hand, the information coming from the sensors, we collect that, and based on that, we have all kinds of digital assistants and applications that are based on AI and other advanced tools, helping you to operate on your daily basis, giving you insights and offering you and your staff recommendations. So basically you can improve productivity of the factory and basically optimize and streamline your operations. Our solution works in the most demanding environments. You can see here some very large and known OEMs in the aerospace industry. You can see here others in the wind turbine industry, even furniture industry. And basically we serve both the high end customers, but also suppliers, whether they are large or medium size, or even the smaller suppliers. Our solution is based on the cloud technology. It allows complete scalability. So even if you're a small operations or you're a large factory, you can definitely use our solution. On the partner side, we are partners with SAP. We are partners with Siemens, Google Cloud, McKinsey, CDC, AMRC, Vertec, and NCC, the National Composites Center in the UK. And here you can see also a bunch of awards we won over the recent years. So we're just on our way to get out of COVID and you know the situation that we've been through in the last 1 or 2 years. And the challenges that the industry faces today are a little bit different from what we've seen a couple of years ago. Now, some things remain the same. We would like to digitize our factories to move to paperless operation, that's for sure. And that didn't change. Maybe in recent months, it became more obvious that this is the right step. If you add to that, we still need to reduce production costs, both because we would like to save money, but there's also a lot of talking around green planet and, saving on materials and using the resources we have, smartly. The third one is, as we go out of COVID and demand is rising, how can we return to full rates with reduced factory staff? Some of the people we put on furlough, and it's hard to get them back. Some found new jobs. And how do you get back into full rates production with the staff that you have and with some new guys that you hired, but are not, as experienced as the folks used to work for you, before COVID? Last but not least, how can you reduce disruptions, when there's missing material or missing tools or equipment, and how you can streamline your operation. So those are the challenges that we hear a lot when we talk to our clients and some prospects. And the answer to some of those challenges is, of course, we have some great software and technologies. And if I take the analogy of, you wouldn't get into your car and turn off your smartphone and navigate using maps, from 10 years ago, you wouldn't imagine doing that, right? You are relying on technology, you're relying on GPS, you're relying on, that Google Maps and those apps that can warn you about all kinds of traffic jams and accidents. And basically, what we're offering is the same concept. We have very smart applications that can help you not only collect the information you need, but also to analyze it and give you some warnings and some recommendations regarding how to use your material more wisely, regarding how to schedule your tasks to the different stations, and basically help you to go through the manufacturing tasks of the day with like a digital assistant, whispering to your ear the insights and the warnings and the recommendations, so your manufacturing is optimized and streamlined. All right, so those are the three pillars that Plataine is relying on. It's IoT and cloud technology. We're running on AWS, by the way, and we're also supporting the government cloud for defense projects. Artificial intelligence, because it's good to gather data, but if you don't do anything with it, then you're not providing any benefits to your customers. And those factory floors applications that we developed that really serves the factory staff and the shift managers and factory managers. So when we're getting the work orders from the ERP system, whether this is SAP or any other systems out there, basically the first step is to schedule those to the different stations. You have hundreds of work orders in a given month. Those are broken into smaller tasks. And, how could you very effectively and quickly distribute and assign them to the different workstations, to the different machines, workers, taking all the considerations and constraints into account? So we have an automatic tool. You simply press a button, and that's the image that we see on the screen. That's the Gantt chart. Basically show you the distribution of those work orders and tasks to the different stations. Now, we're proud with our system, and also we design it specifically for composite manufacturing, right? So if you handle those time-sensitive prepregs and material, and if you move them from the freezer to the thawing areas to layup, ADL machines, autoclave curing, whatever it is, we support it beautifully. You can see here, reporting of cutting and kitting, shelf life update for the authorized users, accurately stores exposure time until curing, and all of this is supported in our system. So we've done the scheduling, and the next steps would be to go for production. Now, one of the unique advantages of our scheduler is basically is comparing always the plan versus actual. Basically, it closes the gap between the planning department and operations, right? Because once you did the scheduling and something changed on the floor, that's nice, but if you don't get the feedback, you don't close the loop, then you don't know that you need to reschedule some of the tasks, or divert them from that station if there is a tool missing or a machine stopped, to a different station that is operative. In addition, we can react in real time to unexpected events. I don't think that there's any day on the production floor that our customers do not experience all kinds of changes. A worker didn't show up in the morning, or as I mentioned, a machine needs sudden maintenance, or something is changed, or we got a rush order that is pushed into the manufacturing floor on the expense of other jobs that are less urgent, right? So That is a very dynamic environment. And this is why, if you take into account the planning side and the operation side, you're getting a very powerful combination. Here you can see the management of all sorts of material and asset. You track them first, but also our system provide not only the location, but also all kinds of alerts and warnings. In this case, it could be about the expiration of a certain material, or it's about to expire. So you need to put it on the cutting machine, cut it and start process it. And that way you avoid scrap, you avoid write-off of materials, and basically you are allowed to use the right job to the right material for the right job, and in the end of the month, save on material and rework. That's our material smart selection application. Basically, here you can select a variety of work orders, immediately filter all the available material in stock, including the full rolls, including the short rolls and the remnants. And basically that application, within a push of a button, creates for you a pick list. Then the freezer manager can take that pick list, move the relevant material to the thawing area, and we also start monitoring the thawing process, right? So you can see here that, again, we're talking about a digital assistant that takes a combination of work orders that need to be processed during that specific week, and it tells the user, this is the best material for the job. Why? Because the software can run through hundreds of different parameters and compare all kinds of options, and then within a few seconds give you the optimum selection. From the freezer, we're moving to the thawing process. Time left until complete defrosting is displayed on the screen. You don't have to check things. You don't have to run around on the production floor. Everything is available on the screen. It's a cloud software, so you have visibility from anywhere in any building in your manufacturing campus. And basically, that's the great thing about today's software. It gives you complete visibility over the processes that are happening in the manufacturing site. Plus, it saves all the history records for a future audit, or if you would like to examine things. That's a great example for a dashboard, and we can see here all the material within a specific freezer or any storage area. You can see here the number of material units, total length, parameter about shelf life and expiration, and all kinds of very useful information that is available for anyone that has permission to log into this dashboard. And as I mentioned, the digital thread, all the history records and the activity log are available for you. So you have full digital traceability from the raw material to the different kits you cut, moving on to the parts you put in the layup room and curing assemblies until the finished product. Every operation is logged by the date, the accurate time, who did it, on what machine, and that digital thread, that kind of a DNA of your manufacturing process is saved. Both we're doing some learning and give you future recommendation based on what you're doing, but this is also available for you when needed if you have an audit, or if you have an quality analysis you would like to run. Basically, that information is available for you. Now, I mentioned that our scheduler closes the gap. And here's an example of some reports coming from the shop floor, and you can see it on the screen. You see the blue bars on the Gantt chart that are completed tasks and operations, as opposed to the green bars that haven't started yet, right? So you have complete visibility, not only about the schedule, but also on the progress of your manufacturing process. And again, the idea here is that whenever is changing in the production floor, whatever new things and events are happening in real time, the planner can basically respond. And whether this is about, moving a task from one station to another, or rescheduling some kind of things, or pushing a rush order forward, you have better control over your manufacturing process, and the gap we have between the planning department and the production guys is being bridged. So to summarize my presentation, basically we've seen a variety of applications to schedule your tasks, to manage your time-sensitive material and composites, and to manage your tools and molds and equipment during your manufacturing process. A smart application that connects to your existing ERP, providing you a digital assistant that is smart and connected and can give your folks on the manufacturing floor, whether they are planners or operators or freezer managers, some good insights and recommendations how to optimize and streamline their daily operations. And what we see with our customers today is basically three types of benefits. On the left, you can see the top line benefits. Increasing factory throughput. This is important today to go back to those manufacturing rates that we used to have like a year or 2 years ago. 10 to 40% reduction in rework. That's extremely important to make those parts right from the first go, and not to be able to remake them and rework on those parts and to waste a lot of material. Faster time to market with the new models, when you can put them into production quicker and understand, how to schedule those new work orders, how to drive them into production quicker. There's also the bottom line benefits that you can see in the center. Increased profitability, between 5 to 15% production cost reduction, with whether this is saving in raw material and other manufacturing costs. This is significant, and also, saving you money, but also making you a more green organization, preserving raw material. 10 to 15% inventory reduction, because you're managing things very tightly and you don't have to buy those extra material. 5 to 20% labor saving, and allowing your staff to do more productive work rather than putting things on paper and managing things and doing those kind of things. On the right, you can see things that are hard to quantify, but they're extremely important, to gain visibility, to reduce the paperwork and add digitalization and traceability, right? So with that, I finished my presentation for today, and we have some time for Q&A. You have also my email address if you need the slides or you have some other questions you would like to ask me. And let's go to the chat box and see if we have some questions here.
One thing that was really interesting to me, Amir, is over the last few days, we've had several conversations over sustainability, and a big contributor to some of those challenges are these expired material. And so it looks like this system really can help kind of streamline that to limit the amount of waste that would be produced from expired material.
Zay, you are perfectly right. It's all about how to preserve material, and there are a lot of facets to that. First of all kinds of supply chain disruptions. You're not getting all the material that you need on time, so you better do more with what you have. Second, we have responsibility to become more green and to preserve, material and our planet, right? So it's not only good to recycle, but first thing you want to use um, um, in a better way the raw material that you already have. And with Plataine, we can definitely help you preserve that material, whether you are optimizing your cut plans and you can cut more parts from the same sheet of composite, or if you manage your material correctly, you don't have to write off, and the chance that your parts will be dismissed because of a quality problem and expired material are almost zero. That never happens because you're getting those alerts and those warnings that, hey, that roll in freezer number 3 is about to expire. Put it on that cutting machine, and basically, if you do that by the next shift, you're good to go and you can still preserve and use that material. So most definitely, this is a key thing that we hear from our customers recently.
Yeah, that you can see where there's tremendous value in that. And the system itself, from what you were able to share, seems to just be tremendously valuable in creating manufacturing efficiencies, right? In terms of the whole project management side of things. I'm curious, on the front end, I have to imagine there's a bit of data entry that is necessary to kind of build out the particular projects in the manufacturing facility that you have and the resources. How much of that is based on intelligent automation, and how much of it does it require the manufacturer to manually enter or upload data points?
That's a great question. So we combine both things. You need at the get-go to configure the system, and you don't need to do any coding, but just to configure the stations and the manufacturing facility and the steps that you have. But once you're doing that, and that's pretty quick, then you're able to start working to import your work orders from the ERP system. But then we are collecting a lot of the information from the sensors. So the manufacturing users love Plataine because you don't have to report almost anything. There's all kinds of sensors, whether this is relying on RFID or Bluetooth or other technologies, and we kind of know when a roll is being put inside the freezer, and automatically we stop the clock, and when it is brought outside the freezer for thawing, and then we start the clock, and everything is being calculated automatically.
You touched upon it briefly in terms of how it optimizes scheduling and other areas of the manufacturing process, but can you just restate that for me?
Sure, Zain. Thanks for the question. Basically, what we see is when you're using an Excel file, you're doing your planning, and you think as a planner that it's 100% good. You push it down to the factory floor, and then comes the production week, and people are start working on it. But as we know in manufacturing, we have a lot of surprises. A worker may be sick or in lockdown and he didn't show up in the morning. A machine would need sometimes a very urgent maintenance or service, and then it will not work for 3 hours. Rush order is coming in. So our manufacturing environment is very dynamic, and that Excel is static. And what we see here with the Plataine software is that the scheduler and the planner can respond very quickly to all those changes that are happening on the manufacturing floor. So if a person has not show up in the morning, the planner can drag and drop or reschedule by a push of a button a few of those station tasks to the different other stations, and basically save a lot of time and still make it on time for the second shift. And he can compensate, right? So it's all about understanding what is going on in real life on the production floor and very quickly respond to that.
Yeah, so in some ways you create efficiencies because you can get ahead of potential issues, whether it's mechanical maintenance or whatnot, or just adjusting in real time based on human capital and other resources that may fluctuate day to day.
That is correct. Our prediction mechanism really can save some of those problems. So for example, we are tracking all those hundreds of tools and dies and molds that are running around. And if we predict that that tool needs to go urgently for a maintenance cycle, then we would notify the relevant user. We're also predicting all kinds of potential issues related to shelf life and expiration of material. And by avoiding that, then usually those cases in which you need to write off material or you need to scrap a job, we can avoid that. So you're right on in your analysis that that's exactly what we do.
I come from more of an automotive background, and I'm just thinking about autonomous vehicles, and there is intelligent design behind that in terms of learning and data collection based on a whole spool of drivers that are using these vehicles. There's this crowdsourcing thing where the car becomes smarter as more users use this autonomous technology, depending on the type of functionality and manufacturing that goes in the car. So when we talk about Plataine and the AI component of it, you showed at the beginning of your presentation a very impressive list of organizations and companies that you work with. Is there smart design based on the aggregate information that you're learning from all those, or is it specific to your own manufacturing operation?
So that's a great question. There is a lot of learning going around, and as we gain more and more users and cases, then it is like those software that plays chess, and within the weeks and months that are going by, the software learns to play chess better. So we are getting into a more optimized solutions, and we can solve a lot of scheduling problems quicker. On the other hand, we're also learning about the path of each part and tool and resource is going throughout the factory. And suddenly we can alert the specific site managers that that specific item is out of route. Why? Because we learned that throughout the weeks and months that we work with the customer. And we say, hey, is that mold should really be there? And we're getting a lot of response. No, that's a good catch, because actually, the forklift driver put that in a wrong place, and you just saved us, 5 hours to search for that specific tool, right? So there's a lot of machine learning and deep learning that we are putting into the system, so you don't have to teach it a lot of things, but whatever it can, learn by itself, it does.
Yeah, no, it's fascinating, and I think certainly when you do the analysis, the anomalies that would appear gives pause to some of those questions, and so the reporting mechanisms are really important. But you talked early in the presentation about the reduction potentially in staffing resources coming out of COVID and what have you. But then the thought occurred to me, there is this huge gap when manufacturers look to hire new engineers, new shop foremen, shop workers that may utilize your tools. And there's this gap between what they learn in school versus what manufacturers actually do. And so the software that you have seems ripe for a learning opportunity to help fill that gap, or even to go on to college campuses as a training module.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Not only that it helps during training, but it can help you during, to do your job. So that materials, the smart selection I showed before, is exactly for that. You don't have the experience to go throughout hundreds of materials and to select the best material, but with the help of that specific application, even if you're not an expert, you can make the right selection, right? And the same goes for other things that I didn't talk about today, but definitely this is the direction. And it's like this great app that we have on our smartphone for, navigation. You don't have to know the destination city or to know the street address. You just put it there and the application navigates you with very clear instructions how to get to your destination, right? So we have developed throughout the years manufacturing applications that are doing similar things with regards to the manufacturing processes. We say that the team, the man and software team, right, is a winning combination because the worker on the shop floor knows exactly what he needs to do or she needs to do. They have the resourcefulness, but with the help of those smart applications, they can simply be much more efficient.